This programme is brought to you by Vitality Health and Life Insurance and Investments.
Unlucky. Tenor says you missed the next one as well. Best of 3?
The teams are arriving here in Nottingham for the Nations Cup. England, New Zealand later on. Our first game is South Africa against Jamaica. The South Africans just getting a bit of respite in the dressing room before this big one. Against the Sunshine Girls, a bit of discord, a bit of disharmony behind the scenes over the last few months, but things have settled down and they're ready for this one. Our first game, South Africa, Jamaica, centre part in about 15 minutes' time. And our next game is England up against New Zealand. Let's make some noise. Over the next week, we'll see 4 match days in 3 different cities. This is the first Test netball on English soil since the Netball World Cup in July, where the England Roses picked up bronze. It's the start of a new international cycle, and this is what they're playing for. Live from the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham, it's South Africa against Jamaica. Happy New Year. It's never too late to say that when you're starting afresh. New players, new coaches and a brand new tournament, but same intense rivalry. 4 of the top 5 teams in the world are competing over the next few days. But who's missing? Australia. But we do have their head coach with us, Lisa Alexander, right in the middle, joined by former England captain Amma Agweze and former England international and Super League winning coach Sky Sports Tamsin Greenway. Ladies, great to have you with us. Lisa, we've got to get to you first. The question is, we're delighted to have you here. Why are you here and why are your team not here?
Well, I'm here to spy. There's no other way to say it. I'm looking at the opposition, analysing what the type of programs that these players and the coaches are putting out there. And I'm also doing a little bit of reconnaissance for our Suncorp Super Netball coaches as well, the ones that the players that are already contracted in those teams.
Okay, why are Australia not here though?
We are not here because we took the decision 2 years ago for our program, and also in the light of our Players Association. We have an arrangement, an agreement with those players, and part of that was to have this January off after World Cup.
Do you feel like you're missing out a little bit?
Of course, I walked into this arena and I just went, oh, I wish we were playing and I'd love to be coaching, but this will be very interesting for me to sit back and actually observe what the coaches are doing and also what those athletes are doing out there.
Tamsin, what kind of opportunity is this for international sides to come at the beginning of the year, the start of a new international cycle?
Well, taking Australia out of the equation, this is your next top 4. So it's really important for these players, these coaches, to get a crack at each other in the first year of this cycle. Look, the reality is the pressure is off all teams, other than England, because it being a home series. So, you know, they've got the home fans here, they'll want to win. But other than that, they've got the opportunity to play different styles, get new players onto the court and actually see how they're going to build over these 4 years. Everyone will forget these games by the time Commonwealths and Worlds come round. So they'll go out here literally trying out new things.
Amma, what is it like as a player at the start of a new 4-year cycle? playing here in a Nations Cup event?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting as a player because it's almost starting afresh and you get new opportunities. I think coaches start to look wider than the typical starting seven, and so there's new players that come in who may have been starting from the bench or not even had a look in previously. So as a player, you just feel like it's a new opportunity and a fresh start.
So much going on in the world of netball, and to bring us right up to date, let's head over to Gail Davies and find out exactly what's been going on.
A new competition, the first big one for 3 new coaches, 4 of the best 5 teams in the world. So what can we expect from the inaugural Nations Cup? Jess Selby began her Roses reign with victory in South Africa. She's still without a number of her World Cup stars. This is going to be a big step up, and they begin with the world champions.
We've got real momentum. The quality with which the side put out in training is great. They challenge each other. You can imagine the likes of Jade and Stacey and everybody is really pushing. I don't think with those players that everyone talks about missing that you'd believe the amount of options I have available to me right now. It's a difficult selection decision every time we enter a match, and that's a fantastic place to be. Why not the world champions in game 1 is what I say. Win, lose or draw doesn't define what we do in this competition. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. South Africa are going to be out for our scalp. Jamaica are out for everybody's scalp. So I think it bodes well for a really intriguing competition.
After guiding the Silver Ferns to World Cup glory, there have been plenty of accolades for Nolene Chirua, who has a new and very exclusive title.
Oh, look, it's such an honour, it really is, but I sort of got to the thinking that I'll feel uncomfortable for the rest of my life, but I need a bit of a hurry up, but for our sport, it's really cool.
If New Zealand are to be successful, they'll have to do it without their inspirational leader, Laura Langman. She's on a sabbatical, and their iconic shooter, Maria Folau, has just retired. By contrast to New Zealand, Jamaica had a 2019 to forget. So in 2020, will the Sunshine Girls finally live up to their potential?
Definitely, we are hungry. We do have more of a point to prove to ourselves that we can do this and that we are amongst the cream of the crop and that we are a force to be reckoned with. So any point that we have to prove is to ourselves that we have the ability to go out there and to, fight hard.
And what of South Africa? Well, they pushed England close in Cape Town. They'll be better this time out, especially as they welcome back Carla Pretorius, the best player at last year's World Cup.
Yeah, I think the South African team is going to be really great. It's not only with Carla back, but just getting that time on court with different combinations, new players, 3 games behind us, a few training games in this week, and I think the more they're going to play together, the better they will become. And having Carla back, not only as a player but also part of the leadership group, is just great.
Direct, absolutely delighted to have Carla Pretorius back in the fold. What did you see, Lisa, from her in the Netball World Cup? Obviously, she was player of the tournament.
Oh, look, she's just an outstanding player, and she has been for the whole 3 years in the Suncorp Super Netball. She comes up with those mercurial intercepts. You don't know where she's coming from. Her speed on the court and her anticipation are outstanding.
So many storylines developing with these 4 nations. This matchup, Amma, between Jamaica and South Africa, how evenly, can you hear me? She's just about hear me.
It's so loud, the fans are amazing.
You're lip reading, aren't you? How evenly matched are these 2 sides?
I think they're very evenly matched. This is going to be a crucial match in the scheme of netball worldwide, and I think it's because South Africa have been rising. Jamaica have had a little bit of political unrest. They've got a really good squad that they've managed to get together, but they haven't had much time together, so I think this game is going to be crucial in terms of people placing themselves in the world rankings of netball.
Yeah, Tamsin, is this a tough one to call, this first one?
It is indeed, but South Africa, this is their time to shine. They've got to learn how to see out games. They are in the mix. They did exceptionally well at World Cup, but still haven't medalled. This is a great opportunity for them to take on that sort of the play that they brought from the World Cup, take it to Jamaica today, and actually go out there thinking they can beat England and New Zealand later in the week.
Okay, well, for Jamaica, there has been a bit of turbulence behind the scenes, but things have settled down, and the Sunshine Girls, they mean business.
I feel like jamming to the reggae beat. Bubble up your body, just move your feet. I feel like jamming to the sweet vibration. Whoa, sweet Jamaica. If you love Jamaica, let me see your hand. Raise it to the sky, let me see your hand. If you love Jamaica, let me see your hand.
beat Jamaica. They're ready. Tamsin, do they need to sort out their attacking end?
Yeah, you know, that was probably one of their biggest issues at the World Cup, and it's not about their shooting power. They've got Fowler in there, who is just at 6'5", a target shooter. It's the wing attack and goal attack. Need to take a look at that. It's interesting they brought the same partnership that they brought from the World Cup that wasn't firing. So what Connie Francis, the new coach, has done for that attack end will be really interesting. So we need to take a look at that today.
Okay, Connie Francis, who was she was their head coach back in 2007 and led them to the bronze, Emma. So Jamaica today, they're about to be announced onto court. Give us a player to look out for.
She's amazing and she's a stalwart, but I think looking in the mid-court, so Jodie Ward played in the Super League last year. She's one to watch, so I think keep an eye on her.
Yeah, Tamsin, you obviously just see a bit more of Jodie Ward during the World Cup, didn't you, in Liverpool?
I do, and I want to see her in goal defence. She's not actually starting today, which is really unfortunate, but Sterling, world-class goalkeeper, best goalkeeper at the moment across the board. So again, really exciting that defensive end, but can Jamaica sort out their attack end against probably the best goal defence in the world, Carla Pretorius?
It's going to be an incredible matchup. The scene is set, it's electric. This stadium is buzzing here in Nottingham. We can just about hear ourselves think. And Jamaica are about to come out onto court under that new head coach, Connie Francis. Opponents, the South Africans, who finished fourth in the Netball World Cup under their new head coach Durant Badenhorst, taking over the reins from Norman Plummer, who did so much over the last 4 years. For those who are new to netball, Tamsin, just tell us about the rise of South Africa over the last few years.
It was always the top two. It was always New Zealand and Australia. England have closed that gap, and now South Africa are hot on the heels as well. They showed that World Cup. They made that bronze medal playoff. They didn't beat England, thankfully. However, they are on the rise. They've got one of the most experienced teams here in this competition, and they could start pushing those top teams, but they have to show in that 60 minutes that they can take it in a goal-for-goal situation.
Well, they last played each other in the World Cup, and South Africa victorious 55-52 as we hear the national anthems, starting with the Jamaican national anthem. seen a massive improvement in these two teams. Who will take the spoils today? Without further ado, let's get straight to commentary and join Caroline Barker.
Thank you, Di. New year, new you. 3 new coaches, 1 new tournament. The inaugural Netball Nations Cup brings us to the Motorpoint Arena. South Africa up against Jamaica first up. Let's run you through those starting sevens for South Africa. These two, of course, played each other in the pool stages of the Netball World Cup. South Africa, the winners in that one. Couple of changes, though, from the recent series defeat to England. The return of Carla Boutouris, influential for them. And Captain Bongi Msomi celebrating her 32nd birthday today. For Jamaica, 4th in the world under their new coach, Connie Francis, of course. Watch out for Shamira Sterling at the back, and up front, Janelle Fowler. What a 2019 then for South Africa, the highest World Cup finish. What does the 2020 vintage have in store?
Purple hat, cheetah print, dancing on the people, rolled up at the after joint, dancing on the people, purple hat, cheetah print, dancing on the people, rolled up at the after joint, dancing on the people on the booth, hanging from the people on the people, my hits the roof, dancing on the ceiling on the people, I got people on the dancing on the people, I got purple hat, cheetah print, dancing on the people, rolled up at the after joint, dancing on the people dancing on the people, I got people on the people dancing on the people, with the people on the people, smoking CO2, see me, see you dance on the people, I got dancing.
South Africa, the designated home side in this first fixture. Of course, England up against New Zealand coming up at 5 o'clock. But this first up, fresh off their highest World Cup finish against the Jamaican side who missed the semi-finals for the first time since 1995. The world number ones, Australia, aren't here, but their coach, Lisa Alexander, is alongside us. First centre pass then to Jamaica here in Nottingham.
And there's a few nervous athletes out there, Caroline.
Those nerves, early to shake them off too, just feeling their way. These are two teams, the 16th meeting between these two sides. Jamaica traditionally have the upper hand, but what are you looking for from the South Africa side?
I'm looking for that discipline, and I've already seen it there. It's that combination together. It's a very experienced defence end there with Vandermeer and Pretorius and, of course, Mawani. And the two defenders are playing with each other week in, week out in that Suncorp Super Netball in Australia.
Yeah, it's a combination made at Sunshine Coast Lightning and then here on the courts internationally. And we said much about this Jamaica side, the politics perhaps around it, but all their star players turning up for Connie Francis.
And we can see that obviously that Jamaican high ball into Fowler is right on. They're looking for her early, and that was a good accurate feed.
First blood, Jamaica then. South Africa seen much more patience in the build-up, but you can't invite one in like that.
No, that's right. And Hemmings will be interesting to see what she can do. She was a reserve for the World Cup, so they obviously rate her there and think that she matches up very well on Bongi Msomi.
2 up, and Jamaica's centre pass. Oh, as a coach. You hate that.
Yeah, look, it's a coach killer, especially on that attacking centre pass. But they're already, I can see that intensity in the Jamaicans. They are looking for their opportunities. They are really having a go, determined to play good defence and to look after that ball in attack, but still put it in there when it needs to go.
Good movement from Beckford around that circle. Perhaps maybe a quieter World Cup than she would have wanted. One of those players that can stand up for Jamaica.
Yes, definitely. That attack line was a little bit too predictable and needed a little bit of spark. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going. At the moment, they're playing very well. They're putting the ball in accurately. They're making their second drives as well.
Contact goalkeeper. Contact goal defence.
When you look at this South African attacking line, probably what it does is it actually plays into the Jamaicans' hands. You've got two taller shooters that play a style of game that's more aerial, and perhaps that actually feeds into the Jamaican strength, which is their intercepts and their ability to take the high ball.
We've seen the South Africa coach, Dorette Badenhorst, not afraid to change things up, so she'll keep an eye on what's happening inside that circle. At the moment, same old for Jamaica. And they've got to try and keep Fowler higher up.
Yeah, they do, and you know, Pumza Mwani's had a very, you know, some really good experience out on that Suncorp Super Netball court, of course, back in Australia, but also internationally. They've come up against each other a number of times. So Mwani is a lot stronger now as an athlete and is prepared to do that work to push her shooter up as high out in the circle as possible.
Togita and Venter pulling another back for South Africa, and how quickly it can swing round.
Yes, it is interesting, isn't it? You think it's a love 3 start, but then South Africa just get into their groove. They start to do their work, backing each other up. It's very physical out there. You can see that already. And the South Africans are going to have to hold their space well.
There's a great passage of play to show just that. Rizal in there using good upper body strength, and South Africa making it count. Jamaica with a centre pass.
And I'll be interested to see how Podgita is handling goal attack. And at the moment, she looks very fit and able to do her role there.
Rizal and Somi at that wing attack position.
Contact goalkeeper.
Yes, I was very impressed with Rizal at the World Cup. I thought she was a very powerful athlete. And when she came onto the court for South Africa, you know, she was hard to stop, and she's an athlete, and, you know, if her fitness is right up there, she will do a really good job for them.
South Africa retaining the majority of that squad from the World Cup and, of course, from that series against England. These are tried and trusted combinations just starting to work for South Africa. Pushing Jamaica around court, making them do the legwork. Get an early sniff in there.
Interestingly, already I can see Jamaica have got a much more patient attitude towards getting that ball into Fowler. So clearly Fowler's ability to understand the tactics and strategies that she has with the West Coast Fever are paying off. And Jamaica are looking much more determined to work the ball down.
And good patience from Jamaica. Fowler really the metronome in all of that. She was the second top scorer at the Netball World Cup. So if you give her the ball in those areas, more often than not, she'll hit your high 90s.
Yeah, she was our most valuable player in the Super Netball, and look, she's such a target there. Her movement is excellent also for a very tall person and strong person, so you can't underestimate her movement as well.
Oh, 5.5 minutes in, and that was like Rizal just stepped off the plane.
Yeah, look, it's, you know, probably out on that court, a little bit hot under the lights, a little bit of sweat, bit of nerves there. Unfortunate.
They're the only ones not complaining that there's an ice rink underneath. Everyone else coming in saying it's cold.
Yeah, look, once you get out there and the intensity of the game goes, the athletes are sweating and they're really, really working hard. I think we underestimate how demanding netball is. Beautiful pass in there. Great deception on that front cut by Beckford and then into Fowler. Fantastic play.
Now up the other end for Jamaica. Just trying to give South Africa a bit more to think about. Been fairly fluid when they have got past that centre pass.
Yes, I'm liking when Podgita hangs out a little bit more and gives Ventner a little bit more room and then comes in at the last minute and uses her speed. She is very fast and, you know, she can use that speed well at goal attack.
Oh, Dixon just unable to make that one land in Fowler's hands. Just misread it. South Africa will look to build again. Van der Merwe, who is instrumental for South Africa, really taking England, making it tough, particularly in that first game against England in Cape Town in the series.
Outside the goal
that
circle.
one went to extra time, and that sort of really blew them out for the rest of the weekend. It was tough back-to-back games.
Yeah, Van der Merwe is a very tough, uncompromising wing defence, and I know exactly why Norma Plummer would have loved her out there. And she doesn't give in. She's always there, niggling away, making it difficult for the wing attack.
Advantage obstruction, wing defence. Goalkeeper obstruction. Arms first.
Clear instructions from Gary Burgess.
Arms first.
John O'Brien, the other umpire on this one.
Yes, Gary is very good at his communication. He works hard on it and terrific at training sessions as well. He really helps out a lot, and wants to learn about what you're doing
Wing
as a
defence,
coaching
contact.
team and to help him with his umpiring and interpretation.
Advantage offside,
England not
Caesar,
always
advantage,
being in the
contact, wing
finals,
defence.
it means he gets a few more games at the latter stages, so
Yes,
kind of
he does.
bittersweet for him now that England are doing well.
Yeah, he's obviously been involved in, I think, all of our finals over Com Games and also World Cup, many finals with the Australian team.
The voice of Lisa Alexander, Australian coach, with us on commentary. Your thoughts too at Sky Netball. We'll use the hashtag Nations Cup wherever you are watching in the world. Just over, but there's the reach of Fowler again.
Yes, it's very handy under the post. It's, you know, Beckford can put that ball up and know that Fowler's going to be there, waiting, putting her arms up there and trying to get that ball back.
Yeah, you say under the post, you probably put her at a centre spot, she'd still be all right.
Yes.
1.98 centimetres, a huge wingspan, used to her advantage.
Potgieter's a little bit hesitant of putting the ball into Ventnor. I saw that a couple of times, and that's meaning they've got to play it back out again, which gives Jamaica another opportunity to get a tip or a deflection in there. So to see Potgieter giving Ventnor a little bit more confidence and putting that ball in a little bit quicker.
Just over 5.5 minutes of this first quarter to go. South Africa 7, Jamaica 11, make that 12.
Yes, the scoring machine is continuing. Fowler's there, she's very reliable.
Much more thought having to go in for it now for South Africa.
Hold time. Wing defence, that's now persistent contact, that's a caution.
So our first caution, we thought there might be a few in this.
Contact, goal
Look,
defence.
I'm not surprised. I think the wing defence has actually given out a few physical challenges already in this quarter, so it's quite understandable that John O'Brien's given out his first caution to the wing defence.
Advantage moving off on the attack.
Hemmings was one of those reserves for the World Cup.
Yes, she, as I said, matches up well on Masomi. Probably just needs to come around a little bit more, use her footwork. And she's got great speed, so, you know, back her judgment and her anticipation of having a go at those intercepts. But Jamaica are doing very well. They're just plugging away with their defence. They're continuing to work the ball up to the circle edge and then put it into Fowler. Not too many balls coming in from centre third or high up in the goal third. So there's a clear strategy there that Connie Francis has worked on with this team.
She hasn't got an assistant in place yet. We did joke whether you fancied a spell down on the bench whilst you're over here.
No, I'm actually really enjoying watching the coaches and the staff and then the teams and how they prepare. It's a very good experience for me to watch, you know, the other top 4 teams in the world netball and to see what they do. It's a great experience.
Sizable lead now for Jamaica. We've seen South Africa come back previously. I mean, any way in will do. Smiles all around. That one's going on YouTube.
Yeah, look, I have to say that probably Pretorius and Vandermeer are probably not doing enough work on that first phase of centre pass, trying to put that pressure on right from the start. They're sitting back a little bit. They need to make sure they put their stamp on this, and particularly Pretorius. She needs to up her workload, do a little bit more work out the front.
Seeing that work being put in up the attacking end at the moment for South Africa. Trying to wrestle that ball away from Jamaica. Grizel offering. And Somi now, the captain. Lovely little lofted ball up.
An interesting little side note, we've got Ina Marie Ventnor and also Katie Ann Deaney, who, you know, probably played against each other a number of practice games for the Melbourne Vixens, both being at the Vixens for the last couple of years. So, you know, they won't be worried about playing on each other. They would have played on each other at training a number of times. And Katie Ann's doing a very good job. She's been very disciplined. She's working her body. She's hardly had a penalty against her. And being, you know, just a nuisance out there.
Great splits from Fowler. And then just to recycle the ball in there, Beckford too. Kumza Moeni, a little talking to from Gary Burgess to clean some of that up. Kind of feel like you want to see a bit more of that fight in that defensive end.
Just a little bit more, I think. I think they need to get off the body a little bit and confuse the space a little bit more. make it difficult for the Jamaicans to know where to put the ball at the moment. Jamaicans are doing a fine job using some great balks and fakes and getting that ball in accurately into the space where Janelle can pluck it out of the air and pop it in.
Contact, wing attack.
Big centre pass then for South Africa. Them over into Msomi. Pogita comes out for it. Ops go back across the circle and see Venter shoot from this sort of range throughout this first quarter. This time back up and over, and
great rebound by Dehaney. Unfortunately, Jamaica didn't get the positives out of it, but she balanced beautifully on that baseline, pulling that out of the air.
And Msomi was alert to that one. Another one off for South Africa, but 6 goals. The gap for Jamaica. Just got to really work a bit more for it to get that ball through. So what defensive work can they put on? And there we go.
And there we go. Just that confusion of space. You can see Carla Pretorius out there saying to her teammates, it's great work. They did the work down the court, which adds to the pressure and gives them those opportunities.
Goal shooter, obstruction.
A little bit more preliminary move work is needed from South Africa. They're just going on their first phase in attack, so need to see a little bit more dodges and preliminary moves to get rid of their opponents. But the Jamaicans are being very, very tight.
Thank you.
It's a great one-on-one style they're playing, but it's off the body. It's confusing the South Africans.
Little tweaks rather than personnel changes for South Africa.
Yeah, look, I'm thinking they probably need something else in that circle, whether they're going to bring on their young goal attack that played against England in South Africa.
She's got great agility.
Just to break up the style. As I said, the two taller holding shooters seem to play into the Jamaican style, so it might just disrupt Jamaica a little bit more if they've got a shorter, faster goal attack out there.
Both players.
But the gap back down to 4. Now the pressure on the centre pass comes from South Africa. Van der Merwe just unfortunate. The good work of Beckford means that it stays in Sunshine Girls' hands.
Hold time to set it over here.
Yes, there was a lot of physicality in that challenge, and of course we can see it very well from our advantage, and it's not as easy for Gary Burgess to see that, but certainly put them in the right position there.
Well, the time goes, and I think Gary Burgess saying that he held the watch, the time was held, so Jamaica will get the opportunity to take that one again. She doesn't miss. An opportunity does Janelle Fowler. Well, it was a case of that first quarter, the great pressure put on by Jamaica. They thought about South Africa and very much using their heads into that first 15 minutes. As we head into the second quarter, it's Jamaica with the lead, but South Africa came back at them, 12-16. We're just seeing if that final goal did in fact count. That one's being given, not on the scoreboard inside, but Gary Burgess either way said that one was good. So then Jamaica with the lead into the second quarter. They came out, used their heads, but South Africa plenty in the tank to take into that second 15.
GD must have a good dog. You're too kind.
first game of the Nations Cup, and it's Jamaica with a 17-12 lead over South Africa here in Nottingham. Just having a little scout round the court to see if there are any changes. Change made by South Africa. Lisa Alexander, Australia coach, alongside me. We're asking about whether there would be changes by this South African team, by Gareth Badenhorst, personnel-wise, as we just see Venter then inside the circle.
Goalkeeper beside, please.
We'll bring you confirmation of the changes in just a moment. While Venter gets that one up and underway.
Yes, there's been a change in the centre court for South Africa, and look, I think probably Brazil didn't have as much movement and pace, and our new centre player
would just getting check on some of the scores here. Just a moment, there's an element of confusion as Jamaica have the ball. The change that's made at centre by South Africa, as we see Van der Merwe then come away with the ball. We're asking for maybe a bit more pace around that area. They've kept Bongi Msomi at the wing attack position. Occasionally they moved her into that centre position too, but she's the joy of the feed-in to Venter.
It was just a much quicker build-up to that goal through by Ventnor then. So we've had a bit more speed out there. Really, Bongi's using her space and timing very well around that circle edge, and just getting Ventnor to make that one dodge on the baseline. That's what they need to do. They need to get it in there quicker, and not when there's two defenders in there and two goalers. There's just not enough room at this stage.
There were questions whether Roan Dreyer would start this one anyway. So she'd been impressive before for South Africa.
But they've gone for the speed and pace around the outside of the circle. So, look, it's a good balance. If they can get more of that speed and that quicker entry into the circle, Bokita can make sure it's open there for Ventnor.
When they get the ball, they're doing all right in that circle. It's just about getting those options, and they've come out fast start from the South Africans.
Yeah, I think they've been just handling the ball far too much.
Contact centre, penalty pass.
Getting the ball in quicker, not allowing the Jamaicans to get any sniff of having an intercept or a disruption there.
Goal defence.
Much better build-up by South Africa.
Contact goalkeeper.
Still a little bit of discipline issue there from Pumza Moeni. She'll need to tidy that up a little bit. She has to work her feet around there and show definitely John O'Brien that she's got space.
And take from Van der Merwe, and Somi tries to find Dreyer. Dixon's up to it.
Yes, great pick up there by Dixon. She's actually just motoring along, doing her job. She's got great long arms there and puts a beautiful ball into Fowler from off the circle edge. Very accurate, going about her business.
She talked about the extra responsibility he made vice captain with Novangeli Williams here as well, and how she's enjoying that extra role.
Yeah, and she's, you know, obviously showing some great leadership skills out there, talking to her playing partners out there, Williams and Beckford, and they're doing a very good job.
Breaking goal, wing defence, contact, centre third.
Little fake.
I'd like to see Dreyer just making sure she's available a little bit more on that circle edge. But Msomi found the edge there very well, got it into the shooters quickly, and they put the ball through.
Land from Dixon, standing up front. But still, oh, no hot hands. Msomi again, who was alive to an error in that first quarter, alive again.
Contact, and it's a warning, you've already been cautioned.
Well, we saw that caution against Hemmings in the first quarter, now upgraded to a warning.
Yeah, look, there's really good communication between two very experienced international umpires. And of course, they would have talked about that at quarter time and known that Hemmings was on a caution. And of course, using the rules.
Contact goalkeeper.
To give out the warning. She has
arms first, goal defence, obstruction.
Not much choice left. She's really going to have to discipline herself out there, otherwise she'll be off the court. Yep.
couple of minutes sit down is the next stage.
Yes, it is, and this is when the coach perhaps needs to look at it and say, do I risk not taking her off and then having her be put off the court by the umpire, which would leave Jamaica with 6 players. So it's a very big decision for a coach to make. I often, if I'm in that situation, make sure I err on the side of caution. So I will look at the player and say it's time for a
contact, wing defence.
Unfortunately, an injury at international level, and to come off and sit down and replace her. So she probably just needs a bit of a calm word from her coach at this time.
That's certainly an element we've seen improve from Jamaica, even in these early stages, just the thought process behind everything. So how long will they give it?
But they are looking physically very well prepared, I have to say. The team overall looks fit and hungry, and their attitude at the moment for this period of time, for the quarter and this part of the quarter, is certainly showing that they're meaning business. They want to win this match.
Goal attack instruction.
They're being careful about their attacking preparation, working the ball up. Shamira Sterling has done a very good job out at goal defence. For somebody who doesn't play there normally, she's been very disciplined, stuck to the game plan, been very clean, but has been a nuisance for Potgieter to have to get around.
So she's called time. She's gone down. Moeni down on the court. Looks like she's gone quite a heavy fall. Yeah, looks to be innocuous, looked to be away from the action.
It's not looking great, I have to say, at this stage. Moeni doesn't go down very often at all, I have to say.
She's going to be removed from the court.
Obviously, it's going to be quite serious for her.
It did look as if her knee just knocked into Fowler.
Can I just have
And of course, when they're playing at such speed as well, it doesn't take a lot just to jar your knee or just off to one side. She is thankfully back up and on her feet.
Yes, thank goodness. Maybe it's just a knock that's really hurt. But obviously they've made the change.
So the change then was Zimbella coming on for South Africa, and Zimbella's another of those players with real experience.
Yeah, she's been in this team for a number of years now as a reserve, but she certainly has been given opportunities, and she's a great athlete, worked hard with those defensive players, so we'll see, hopefully, some great play from her.
Experience, of course, with Team Bath in the Netball Super League. Will be plying her trade with Sirens, Glasgow, in the Super League when that gets going again in February.
Oh, there she is. That's what I've been looking for. Pretorius being in that great position where she confuses the space and really asks the feeder to put the ball there and challenges them, and then she just grabs that ball out of the air. She is uncanny.
It is, though, the nonchalant action, isn't it? Just the way she comes through that languid style too. Just poetry.
Yes, it is poetry in motion, and she's lifting her work rate. You can see that, much more intense, much more focused on her role, knowing that she's going to have to lift her performance now that Moeni is off the court.
Better from South Africa. The gap now down to 4 after that first quarter lead of 5 for Jamaica. Still back up the other end. Zimbella trying to fly against Janelle Fowler.
Goalkeeper.
It takes time at this level when you come straight onto court, particularly in such an influential position.
Yeah, it does. But one of the things we do say to the athletes, particularly the defenders, when they're coming out on court, to try and make an impact straight away. Try and get a tip or a touch and really put their stamp of authority out there right from the get-go.
Oh, there's one player you can put a ball like that up to, and it's Janelle Fowler.
Yeah, certainly wasn't quite in the right position there, but she's just so strong. Mbala had trouble getting around on that one. May have used her outside arm to have a go, but hopefully she'll explore that space a little bit more.
Contact, goal attack.
Just got to try and work her out.
Interestingly, Potgieter and Sterling playing on each other, and of course they had that well, it was quite a quite an interesting coming together of two
That's the
players.
diplomat coming out in you.
That's the diplomat, yes. And I must admit, I was watching that game at the World Cup, and it was really quite nasty between the two of them. There's no other way to say it. But they are competing with each other very, very well in great spirit today. But they certainly don't, want to give away anything to each other.
At the pool stages of the World Cup, 55-52, South Africa beat Jamaica. And we showed right from the off what a tasty time we're in for in Liverpool. Such context and the high levels of netball internationally now so tight.
Yeah, both teams are being very, very careful in their attacking play. It's very interesting to watch.
Contact, South Africa.
They're not pushing it too much. They're resetting. If the attacking player is not there and ready to go, they're going back, playing it again. They want to keep possession.
Replay.
A frustrating moment for Jamaica. Last 5 minutes of this half to go.
Another coach killer, I'm afraid. When you have those replays, it's very, and of course the wing attack as well, very frustrating. Worked hard to get the ball.
Vanny's contact centre.
Yep, some great space made there.
Where you are, goal shooter.
Jerry doing a lot of work, isn't she, now, in just trying to create that space.
Yeah, I think there's just many more options for the South African attack now. She's just opened it up a lot more. I think Masomi's also using her space really well together. They're working very, very hard defence, and there you go. That pressure that the South African attackers are putting on their defenders coming out of defence, if they get that turnover, is fantastic, and that's what you've got. The result is they've got another opportunity to score.
Throw in. It's off the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper, you touched it last.
And that, equally, when you're saying a coach killer point, is then just making sure that you take that moment you've been offered and then punish them.
Offside.
And Sterling trying to make amends.
Goal defence outside.
I'm really enjoying Sterling's work. I think, she was penalised on that one, but she really is working hard to try and disrupt that ball without getting penalised.
Time, goalkeeper.
Well, the change coming again. Anzawani back on court. She had the little sit down, the breathing bit of ice we saw applied, and she's back on.
Well, it's great news. I know a coach back in Australia will be very happy about that. And Kylie Byrne, a coach of the Sunshine Coast Lightning.
Yeah, when you're in pre-season as you are over in Australia, we're about to build into it. The timing of all of this, too.
Yeah,
you sit there at home with your hand on your heart thinking, please, no one touch her, wrap her up in cotton wool.
I have to say, it's a bit like that when I'm watching the Suncorp Super Netball as the Australian coach. You're also not wanting injuries during a season, and unfortunately we've had our share of them, but that's just the way it is in this high level of sport.
Lisa Alexander with us in Nottingham. Last 3 minutes of this half then.
Yes, great work by Masomi then, using the reset. Again, Katie-Ann Dehaney's getting right up into that space, making it very difficult to find the feeding space for the shooters. They're both doing a fine job here, Sterling and Dehaney.
Of course, we know Dehaney has pedigree. She's at Melbourne Vixens as well, but whether we've seen enough of her there, and we question maybe how this combination would go, but working all right for Jamaica.
I think it is working really well. I think, particularly, Dixon and Hemmings are doing a good job out the front, although obviously they have to worry about that warning of the wing defence. But in general, they've been very disciplined. They've played the air well, and they've matched up well. Lovely pass there. Jamaican flair and style, we love it. But we've also seen the discipline of Jamaica today. They've clearly got their game plan working, and it's working successfully today.
Flair, style, discipline, the triple threat from Jamaica. Maybe just a little bit more of that discipline was what was missing from this side, and that's something Connie Francis, the new coach, has tried to instill. This is their first test since the Netball World Cup. South Africa, of course, had that run out against England. Jamaica, at the moment, ahead. 4 goals last minute and a half.
Advantage obstruction centre. Jamaica.
Such a shame there. Mawani should have, of course, let that go, but, obviously she thought she could pull that in.
Contact goalkeeper.
Great air there given by Dixon up to
Beside her
Fowler.
goalkeeper.
Great confidence. She goes back to the centre circle feeling like she's done her job. Wonderful to watch.
A few options for Jamaica from the bench if needed, but at the moment the 7
That setter, putting that ball in quicker is what has been needed for South Africa, and they certainly did it then. Well done to Dry.
They won't get the 30 up, but now about the defensive work as we enter this final minute. Can South Africa just pin Jamaica back again? Psychologically, what that would do.
Contact goalkeeper. Off the body
But
goalkeeper.
there is Janelle Fowler, Jamaica's captain. Tick, tick, tick through all of this first half. Give her the ball, she'll sink the ball, and 28 plays 33. Last 30 seconds of this first game then. South Africa quick with hand.
Playing out this 30 seconds, it's one of the things in Suncorp Super Netball that really gets to us, because we've had those bonus quarters, and you know, you can score, you know, in that 30 seconds, but you know, you want to make sure you don't give the centre pass then to your opposition. So it's a very unusual piece of time, and we practice it a lot in Diamonds training, that's for certain, practicing those last 30 seconds.
A sink of the shoulders, the Hooters gone. That one won't count for South Africa. Jamaica riding out that final 30 seconds and using that discipline, showing that discipline that they showed throughout that first half. Lisa Alexander, impressed by what you've seen from Jamaica?
Absolutely impressed. I think Connie Francis has done a great job with this team. They look determined, they look disciplined, and they're working for each other. You can see that they know that they didn't put their best performance out there at World Cup, but they're determined to make amends for that in this competition.
Jamaica then with the half-time lead. Let's get some reaction with Gail.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Janelle, you just high-fived one of your teammates as you came off. Structured, disciplined, patient. You said Jamaica were going to be different from the World Cup. How different were you out there?
To be honest, I feel that we lacked a little bit of discipline out there, because in the attack we were just off a bit, but yeah, I feel our structures are coming together and we're gelling, and it's just a quarter at a time, so I'm very pleased at where we are at the moment.
Does it feel very different being out there? There's almost a sense of calmness amongst you and your team.
Yeah, we feel very different, and just the structures and the confidence that we have in each other is just so amazing.
We'll go well in the second half. Bongi, the birthday girl, it wasn't the greatest of starts, was it? But I guess the biggest positive is that you are still in this game.
Yeah, I think that's a great positive. A couple of mistakes that we really have to be switched on into trying to sort out the second half. But I think towards the end of this quarter, it was much better. So we're looking forward to stepping onto the next half.
How hard is your job, and in particular your shooters' jobs today? Because that Jamaican defence is really on it, isn't it?
I really think they have a great defence on their side, but we're also capable of really damaging them if we're being smart in what we do with the ball. So I think from all of us on attacking end, we really just need to step up, control what we have, and just keep position. I think that's all that's going to matter this second half.
Go well. Thanks, Bongi.
So much better then, says Bongi from South Africa as they approach half-time, but the structure ominously coming together for Jamaica. The Sunshine Girls with the lead at half-time, 33-28, analysis to come.
Oh, it's gone straight through. Hard luck.
Jamaica showing their flair and finesse up against South Africa. The scoreline 33-28. Just take a look at this feed into Janelle Fowler. And the Sunshine Girls smiling. It's a sellout crowd here at the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham. 6,800 girls. Absolutely brilliant way to start the new year with so many netball fans here. It is the Nations Cup. Tamsin, straight over to you. Jamaica, what have you seen from their defensive end?
Well, look, they should be smiling. My eyebrows were raised when I saw their starting lineup. Sterling, the best keeper in the world, playing out a goal defence. It was almost like, how do we fit a team around? They whacked a Haney in the back. They put Sterling out. They played Hemmings, who's not had an international cap yet, out there, and yet they have been brilliant. I've got some footage to show you how hard they've made South Africa work. So having to go back on the centre pass, Bongi and Somi here, look, they can't get this ball through. It's when we go, if we can stop it here, just look at all that play going up, and you're going to see Nicole Dixon and Hemmings sitting in front of their players, and Sterling so tight going up the court. Now, it hasn't helped as we play this through that both Potheater and Venter at the back are both goal shooters, so they haven't got that movement out the front, and Bongi and Somi there underestimating Nicole Dixon's range, and it's been time and time again that's happened. This is when they've been more effective, and this is when Drea entered the game for South Africa at centre, and she brought more through court play, and they got ball in there to Venter. But when it's static, they've got no one to open up that circle. I don't know why we haven't seen Radiman, and I'm not sure why they started with Drea. I almost think South Africa saw this as their easier game this week, and they played sort of players they wanted to play through. So quite interesting. A bit impressed with Jamaica, however, still a little frustrated with their attack end. I don't think they've nailed it. If they'd nailed it, they'd have probably been 10 up.
So, Amma, what do they need to be doing in that attack end?
Yeah, you'd expect with a player like the goal shooter in the back being 6'5", 6'6", it would be easy to get the ball, but I think at the moment they're forcing the ball into her, and she's really good at taking balls under pressure, and she's doing okay. But then South Africa are putting Jamaica under a little bit of pressure within that circle. There are times coming through court where Jamaica are playing it back and playing it across, and actually that's what they need to do more of, to build the play and reset the ball and bring it down one side. If it's not available, to go back and just generally build. When they get it to the circle edge, they're unstoppable, and so they need to do more of that.
Okay, so that's probably going to be the message in the
Every team knows how to stop Jamaica. If you keep them up the court, they force the long balls. I will question whether some of those balls will land against England and New Zealand later this week. So they're going to have to sort their attack end out. But defensively, wow, really impressed.
Absolutely brilliant. So turning our attention to South Africa, Tamsin mentioned the shoot. They've basically got two goal shooters on the court at the moment. We want to see Lefebvre Radiman, who we saw in the Test series, didn't we? She was absolutely brilliant against England in November. Why is she not on the court?
I don't know. I guess they're working on new structures and new combinations, and so hopefully we might see a glimpse of her in the game. The current combination is going okay, but I think they could be better, so hopefully they do introduce her. But I think South Africa, they need to balance between getting the ball in early and taking their time to work it through. So when they get it in fast, Jamaica are caught on the back foot, and so they need to sort of work their timing, see when the correct time is to feed the ball into the circle. And once they get it into the circle, their shooters are shooting and scoring goals. So I think it's just about balancing for them.
It's all about timing, isn't it? Moving on, 33-28 to Jamaica at the moment. It is the first game of the Nations Cup. We've got 4 match days in the next 7 days. It's going to be brilliant. Don't go anywhere.
GD must have a good dog. You're too kind. Oh, it's gone straight through. Hard luck.
First game of the Nations Cup, and Jamaica with the lead at half-time, heading into the third quarter. 5 goals the difference. Lisa Alexander, Australia coach, alongside me. We're seeing that South Africa have absolutely stuck. We'll get you confirmation of the Jamaica changes in just a moment.
Very slight.
But it's the 7 that they ended that second quarter that they've stuck with heading into this third.
Yeah, certainly South Africa have been pleased with their work in the second quarter, so they've kept the same lineup out there, particularly Drea's work in centre, providing more of that speed and change up around in timing for the attack end. Interestingly, and of course, you know, Tamsin did say at half-time how impressed she was with the Jamaican defence end, but they have made a change. So they're obviously looking at the future as well, looking at making changes, but perhaps they may change it back. We don't know.
Advantage contact, goal attack.
Sterling's back in her more comfortable position of keeper. That's a great, terrific turnover there from Jamaica.
And those are the areas when we see, and it's Ward coming through, when you see just the strength and that agility from Jamaica as well.
You know, perhaps Connie Francis is thinking she wants that intensity in her defence end to continue. So with Ward and Wilson out there, she can continue to have that intensity of defence. It's really going to disrupt the South Africans.
Jodie-Ann Ward, who we've seen with the 7 stars in the UK now at Collingwood Magpies. Again, another of those really impressive players for Jamaica with that wing defence bib now on.
Yeah, she's certainly a rangy player, and I thought she did a really good job at World Cup and was probably a little bit underrated and not played enough. But certainly Rob Wright at Collingwood Magpies has seen something in her and brought her into the team. Replacement for April Brandley, who's now pregnant and having a baby.
We've got something in the water over in Australia at the moment. A couple of key pregnancies at the moment.
Yes, really.
Brilliant new young mums.
Of course, really, really pleased for Nat Medhurst. She announced today that she will be having a baby, and you know, one of our great diamonds. Triple world champion, top player, and great news for her and her partner Sam.
Yeah, Nat Medhurst nearly broke social media when she made that announcement. Everyone congratulating her.
Yes, I did send her a text message, and you know, she's obviously given her so much service to netball. It's great for her.
I thought you were going to tell me she didn't get back to you.
No, she will. Christmas card list. She will eventually get back to me, I know.
Different time zones, you can forgive her.
Goal defence inside the circle.
Real interesting tussle going on between Ward and Drea now.
Yeah, and we're also seeing Sterling on Ventnor as well. Just that work that she has, beautiful footwork around.
Advantage obstruction.
Making it more difficult for the South Africans to find their goal shooter. Obviously, they'll respect Sterling's ability to get up in the air, so it may just make them hesitate slightly.
Contact goalkeeper, you're boxing out.
Interesting call. Boxing out is actually what we would ask the goalkeepers to do, and Gary, I know, analyses every game, and I will, you know, say to him, if I was asking him, what would you mean by that? What I think he probably meant was that Mawani was actually physically pushing against Fowler, and as according to the contact rule, that would be a penalty. So he felt that it was interference, but he called it boxing out, which is interesting.
Again, great pressure all over court from Jamaica. Seeing that a lot more.
Yeah, they're really taking their opportunities with their new players out there. They're hungry, they want to get some ball. You can see that. They're barracking for their teammates now, getting into position, ready to attack. You see Beckford back in that goal attack position, allowing her wing attack Williams to have the line, just to change it up a little bit.
Centre causing contact.
Janelle Fowler talked about that at quarter time. She talked about the fact that she wasn't necessarily happy with all the work that the attack end was doing. So changing it up, changing their strategies will make South Africa have a think about it. Okay, we see this change.
So is Venter coming off court now?
Looks like Podgita is going back to shooter, and
Ventus going to head off, and Radaman coming on.
And what Tamsin wanted has happened.
She's quite loud down on court.
Look, you know, obviously Tamsin has great knowledge in the coaching area, and I think she was right. They just needed to have that speed out there just to make the Jamaicans do a bit more work. But interestingly, they've now put her out there when Jamaica have a style of defence that actually suits playing on a more moving goal attack. So we'll see how that all pans out. It's quite interesting. It's the chess match that you play as a coach with the other coach, and your changes and your lineups.
There's a bit of 2019 Jamaica we saw then. They did all that work in getting the ball back.
Contact goalkeeper.
Gave it away.
Yeah, look, Sterling wouldn't be happy with that. She just came in a little bit too close underneath Podgita's feet.
Moving off goalkeeper.
And of course,
penalty pass. Back beside her.
That very frustrating rule in netball. If you move off when it's a penalty shot, it gets called back. So
Podgita, little slap of the hands and the bottom for Lefebvre Radaman, who's come onto court in that attacking end. Saw her debut in the Africa Cup and then playing so well against England.
Yeah, she looks very likely out there. Lots of movement. She's already talking to Bonnie about their setup at the next centre pass and what they're going to do. Looking down court, she's timing her lead into that circle. And of course, Podgita, beautiful timing there with Drea. Pops that ball through confidently. Very experienced player now internationally, Podgita.
Advantage breaking wing attack.
A little bit of the meerkat around from Dixon, trying to find one of her players. It's Wilson with the ball in hand.
Van der Verve is probably playing a little bit too behind her player at the moment. The wing attack, Williams, is getting on top of her. I'd like to see her coming around in front, causing the ball to go up in the air and give Pretorius and Mulwaney a bit of an opportunity there.
Contact, wing attack, go play on.
Lovely timing there from Bonnie Masomi.
Oh, and talk about timing. Up steps Sterling.
Yeah, that's what she's great at. Not just in the air, but she can get the low balls. She gets down to them.
Contact, wing attack.
Great take there by the goal defence from Jamaica. Straight up in the air.
Goal defence.
And of course,
Down the top.
South Africa out of play. Really good transition there from Jamaica. They got that ball going quickly.
All from that Sterling turnover. Latanya Wilson involved in it. We'll see her in the Netball Super League in the UK with Celtic Dragons as well. Took part in the Fast 5 action.
Yeah, look, she looks great build for that goal defence position. She looks like she could play the shorter goal attacks, shorter, faster ones, and also play the talls. So looking fresh and determined out there, and obviously done some work with Sterling in that circle. Great cover of the front position there.
Instruction.
Okay, bad luck there. Nicely timed jump normally, but she just tipped her foot in a little bit there.
Goal defence, move out of the way.
I think everyone's irritated at what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, look, I was actually having a look at that myself and thinking she is pushing it with John O'Brien being so close to the shooting arm.
Contact, wing defence, penalty pass.
Of course, all the teams are very aware of the umpire styles and what they do. And, you know, one of the things that you have to do in international netball is you have to know the sorts of areas of the court and decisions that umpires are more likely to look for. It's part of your homework as a coach.
Never sleep. We saw a shot of Jess Thirlby, the England Roses coach, watching on. Of course, all these teams will play each other before the final next Sunday in London, but England take on New Zealand in the second game of the day here in Nottingham.
And of course, it's going to be very exciting for Jess, coaching her first game on her home soil. There's nothing better, and I know that she'll be extremely emotional when she's singing that national anthem.
They'll be taking over in July after Tracy Neville left as England coach. 3 new coaches in this tournament. Only Dame Nolene Tarua,
obstruction,
New
step in.
Zealand.
Interestingly there, Podgita did
Beside the
not want to
goalkeeper.
shoot over Sterling, felt that
No,
she
you're
was
right.
just not in a good position there to see the post.
Obstruction, goalkeeper.
But luckily for her, Sterling was out for an obstruction, so they get the ball back.
Another one off then for South
Advantage
Africa.
breaking wing attack.
They're getting a bit more joy in that circle, do you think?
Look, I don't think so. I think it's really just more of the same. I think Jamaica are looking like they've lifted another level. Here we have a caution given out to Drea.
Obstruction, goal defence.
To me, it looks like Jamaica have just built on what they've done in that first quarter, in this third quarter. They've adjusted very well, and their two new defenders have been excellent.
Beside the wing defence.
Okay,
Now
we've
a caution for Ward, one apiece.
Yeah, look. Sometimes the cautions can come out in this third quarter when players are starting to tire.
Where you are, goal shooter.
These are our first international games of the 2020 year, so we've got teams that are not quite as match fit as we would want normally. So there will be some tiredness, and I think it's very important that, you know, the two experienced umpires of Burgess and Breeden keep control of that, and giving out the cautions helps to manage the game very well.
Contact, goal attack.
Just cleans it up.
Just cleans it up.
First international for Jamaica since the World Cup. South Africa, of course, facing England back in November. Step in from Fowler.
And
the gap back to 10.
Fowler is just unbelievable. She is so consistent with her play. She keeps herself calm, but she's also giving to her teammates. You can see her there looking at them. Dixon comes through, wonderful intercept, really great, and finishes it off beautifully with Beckford. That is Jamaica that we used to see probably 2 to 3 years ago. Yeah, she just got over that stepping rule, thank goodness.
2 quick feet.
Goal attack, contact.
Real clear transition for Jamaica.
South Africa are just looking a little bit behind here.
Send out contact.
And of course, again, Drea behind, having a go at that ball. And Gary Burgess has said to her, you're behind again, just making sure he implores to her, just be careful.
Movement again from Radaman, and this time Bongyim Somi finds her.
Hold time. Wing defence, I've just cautioned you. That's now a warning for persistent contact.
You can see that coming.
Yeah,
Redden had that talking to Ward.
It's the reading of the temperature of the game. It might not necessarily be, you know, what we would call fair for that wing defence, but the umpires have to keep control of it, or it can turn nasty very quickly and become too physical, and we may get injuries that we don't want to get. So I'm all for it, I have to say, as long as it's applied consistently.
And just taking that pressure cooker out a bit. Dixon involved there too. It's a big goal for Jamaica. Radaman comes for it, can't stick it though.
Oh, great work there.
Wilson's been impressive since she's come on.
Absolutely, she's done a terrific job. You know, she looks like the sort of goal defence that Tamsin was talking about at the start of the game that they've been missing with Sterling back at keeper. So I'm really enjoying her work.
Comes away, working well, good back up. And South Africa have it. Torres coming alive, up the other end, Radaman and Drea combining well, and Pog, he's a great split, lands and takes that.
Beautiful ball put in, really quick. Great work by Drea and Podgita there. They need more of that. Direct play.
Last minute and a half of this third quarter. Torres trying to push her side forward. Drea having to opt for a long one. Somi on the edge of the circle, feed back into Podgita, does well.
Just not getting the ball quite as close to the post here. The drive's going away from the post.
Radaman will go from here though. She had to.
Great shot.
A big goal.
Yeah, that's what you want. The goal attack coming on there and taking the pressure off their shooter, putting in that long shot, keeps the defenders accountable.
Not beyond South Africa yet. Big final quarter to come. just relentless from Jamaica and Janelle Fowler.
Terrific pass again from Dixon, just beautiful lift and height on that ball. Great confidence.
Starting destruction, goal defence.
Last 45 seconds of this quarter. Again, that hustle coming from Jamaica in that circle, forcing them out. Radaman has to go out to the edge of the circle.
Sterling's certainly making it very, very difficult for the feeders. They don't know where she is. They're worried about her arms. You can see it. Lots of balks going in. Radaman needs to put that ball up to the post.
Because if you give Shamira Sterling another opportunity, she gets into their faces, just causes problems. John O'Brien having a word over his shoulder to those that are behind the posts. And he's saying you can't coach. Those that are warming up for Jamaica, probably a bit too close to the post and shouting instructions.
Yeah,
is that what he was hearing?
Interesting. I think more to the point that it's not in the area that they should be in. That the coaching has to take place from the bench.
Well, plenty of coaching needed from South Africa at the break for Connie Francis and her Jamaica side, all going to plan at the moment. The gap out to 12 goals. Is it personnel now, Lisa Alexander, for South Africa? They've just got to work through it.
Look, I think they do need to make some changes. I think they need that energy out there in wing defence. Perhaps they need to put Chahami on this quarter, maybe a change in the centre as well. I think they do need some extra zip and speed in the centre court.
Jamaica then heading into the final 15 with a 12-goal lead. They lead in Nottingham 49-37.
GD must have a good dog. You're too kind. Oh, it's gone straight through. Hard luck.
A quarter left then of this first game of the Nations Cup before England take on New Zealand at 5 o'clock. A job to do, though, for Jamaica. The Sunshine Girls, their first test after the Netball World Cup, up against the South African side, buoyed by their best year in 2019, that highest finish at the Netball World Cup. Lisa Alexander alongside me. Lisa, we've seen South Africa come back from these sorts of deficits before. They beat Jamaica in the pool game at the World Cup. This is a very different Jamaica side.
Definitely a very different side. Disciplined, feeling confident in themselves and in each other, definitely. So, seen those changes at half-time. Connie France has been very proactive, feeling confident about those changes, and they've made a great difference already.
Contact outside, win defence.
South Africa haven't made any changes, so it's going to be interesting to see if this more experienced group, apart from their goal attack, of course, can bring them home.
Contact on the post, advantage goal.
Little light down for Shamira Sterling. Potgieter goes over to give her a hand up and the arms around. So many of these players playing together in the Suncorp over in Australia.
Well, they're actually in the same team together this season, so they're teammates.
Still a little bit of niggle.
They'll be playing each other a lot of training, though, so it'll be interesting.
Great seeing the range of players now over in Australia and how it's improved the international game as well, this high-level competition week in, week out in the Netball Super League too.
Look, it certainly has, and I've been on record as the national coach saying that I would prefer my Australian players having the positions, of course. But for global netball, for international netball, it's been fantastic. It has given those players that experience at the highest levels that they bring back to these games and added to the international competition. Fantastic.
Oh, Dixon and that centre bib on. And better confusing the space from South Africa. Van der Merwe, they really need her in that wing defence position to get in amongst it.
Yeah, I'd like to see a lot more of her driving down court, assisting Drea so she can get down to that attack end more quickly and put that ball in. And as you can see, it probably could have gone in quicker, but again, Drea was worried about Sterling's reach.
Bit more fluidity to it, though, for South Africa and their centre parts. Rademan on with that goal attack bit. Bit more movement in there for South Africa, allowing Potgieter,
yes, beautiful range. She was right under the hammer there from Sterling, definitely. Pressure right on, but she put through, and that's a confidence booster for her and for the team.
Back to 10, the gap possible, but every inch has to work on it defensively as well. And here's another opportunity. What can South Africa do? Torres, big player for them. So Van der Merwe having to put more on that.
Yeah, look, they're really having to work very, very hard on their attack transition, South Africa. They're not comfortable at the moment. Jamaica are really making them work hard for every ball, and it is tiring over the course of the game.
Offside centre.
Call against Dixon.
Unfortunate. I thought she'd got it. Just must have put a toe over.
It's offside, and that's where it is.
Have you got VAR? Oh, you do have VAR, don't you, in the Australian football leagues? Well, not the AFL, but the soccer.
We do, but we also have it in our Australian rules football on the goal, what you would call the goal line. We don't like it very much, us traditionalists.
Don't worry, there's no danger of it coming to netball.
It's too quick.
And all the better for being quick as well. The speed on the ball.
Beautiful play then from South Africa. Great preliminary work to get rid of their opponents. They need to do more of that.
Right back in it. Threat Badenhorst's side.
We'll see whether this starts to put pressure on Jamaica.
Oh, that was a dangerous one to hang up there.
It definitely was. Mawani nearly got that. She was a fingertip off it. Beckford's just gone about her job. Hasn't done anything too flashy. She's just been very consistent, hasn't made mistakes. Very good today. Potgieter is looking far more comfortable in that shooter position.
She likes it, she owns that circle, but of course she is on arguably the world's best goalkeeper.
Goal shooter contact.
Interesting call then from John O'Brien, saw something. And this is South Africa's chance. They need that drive. They need 2 or 3 options. At the moment, they've got 1 option. They're putting it under lots of pressure. They need more work from their team in attack. Multiple options are needed.
Goal defense, contact. Yep.
Bongi Somi with a little bounce. Raduma, good combination between those two. Beautiful work from Sterling. And she's irritating, isn't she, in a wonderful way. She's just always there. What I've been really impressed with today is her maturity on court. She's playing like she really wants to play well for Jamaica, and she's settling down and she's keeping herself under control and showing what a terrific player she is.
Contact goalkeeper.
A little bit of fortune in there as well for Jamaica.
Goalkeeper.
They'll take that though. And it just felt like South Africa were finding their way back into it, and Sterling coming out with that important interception. Now South Africa again. A little look up and over. That's a definite contact.
Goal defense, address your timing.
Yes,
Contact.
great call. Look, I wasn't surprised Gary Burgess said that, because he is spot on. The timing was not correct. It was clumsy, and he picked it. Well done, Gary. Good movement again, just rapid drawing out Pretorius. Often Janelle Fowler will shoot from that position. I'm surprised she didn't turn to the post and give it a go, but she's clearly been given instructions to make sure she's in that shooting percentage area, that high percentage area. Extremely disciplined player, done a magnificent job for her team today. It was a real rough time for Jamaica and their future just before Christmas, with players not being called up to the squad, not playing as well. All that was settled out, and Janelle Fowler saying what they've been given by their new coach is structure, is discipline, and it's paying off. Yes, and I think Connie Francis is, this is her second opportunity with the Jamaican team. She's gone away, learned her craft of coaching, had some experience here in England, and I think, she's definitely showing with what we're seeing out here that she's impressed upon her players that need for discipline in that team.
Offside.
And some of the younger, less caps that we see with this Jamaica side have played with Connie Francis in Jamaica in their domestic league as well. Been coached by her, so she knows what they have to offer. South Africa, though, with another opportunity. Little step aside in the fake from Raduma. Nice deception there. Great change-up. That'll keep the Jamaican defenders a little bit more accountable. But they need more. They need more opportunities. The South African defence needs to put more pressure on this attack end. They'll have had a look up at the Jumbotron and seen that that gap has closed.
Goalkeeper holding.
8 goals is doable in 7 minutes, but it's very tough, and you've got to have everything working for you. And at the moment, Jamaica are doing all the right things and scoring off their centre passes, and that's all they need to do at this stage. See Beckford looking across at her coach, having a conversation there, probably telling her a few things just to settle down, keep working hard. Lots of resetting from South Africa in this match. They haven't always been happy with what they've been provided by their shooters.
Contact, goal attack.
Another one goes for South Africa. And that one came down a little bit too quickly. I know Carla Pretorius would not be used to that. Does her best to try and keep that wave of pressure out from Jamaica. Really quick transition on that turnover from Jamaica.
See the pass untouched.
Much better work there from Van der Merwe.
Hold time, goal attack. That's
really looking at that front space, not poking from behind. Okay, so here we go. They're having a change. The coach is happy. They're 10 goals up. She's bringing her new goal attack out. So when we see Beckford go off court, we said for long periods of that Netball World Cup that Beckford didn't really give us what we knew she could. And so the change being made, she's certainly given that performance to Connie Francis in this game.
Yeah, she certainly has. Again, played her role really well, been very disciplined, provided some great stability on that transverse line for Fowler, and also Williams and Dixon. They've played extremely well together as an attack end.
She had options to possibly bring on Nelson. Shimona Nelson, who we've seen as well, and Giselle Allison. The options coming on with Allison then for Jamaica.
Yes, I wouldn't expect them to put Shimona Nelson out to goal attack, although she would take up that challenge. She's a terrific young person, having experienced her great athleticism at Collingwood Magpies at training. She really enjoys her Jamaican dancing, of course, and she tries to teach everyone.
How are your moves?
How are your moves, yes.
I was looking at you, Lisa Alexander. You know that's the initiation you have to do if you can't commentate with us.
Of course, I love my dancing, so I'll be out there.
I hope Di was listening to that, maybe ahead of the second game.
Contact, wing attack.
We seem to be leaving quickly. Was that? All right.
Yeah, nice split move there. Ranaban did a great job, opened up Podgita, kept the defenders accountable again. That's better from South Africa. They need more of that. They need a turnover right now.
Advantage obstruction, wing defence. Advantage contact, wing defence.
Contact, wing defence. Wing defence forward. Advantage not out of play, wing defence. Advantage offside.
So South Africa will take on England on Wednesday before Jamaica face New Zealand on Wednesday as well. That Jamaica-New Zealand game will be the early game.
And the really interesting part, Caroline, is that once you see all the teams out there on this first day, you can really start your analysis work, because you really don't know what each team is going to present to you until you see them out on court in this very first test match. And so the performance analysts will be working hard the next couple of days on clipping up everything, getting the players and the coaches ready for that next match.
So as we head into the final 3 minutes of this one, what have you learnt, Lisa, about the South African side first up?
Well, I've learnt that perhaps they have not necessarily hit this game with the intensity and intent that I've seen from South African teams, particularly at World Cup. Knowing what they were like to play against in that semi-final, I can tell you, they are definitely an opposition to be feared. I think they're obviously struggling from not having that goal attack, and Marika Holzhausen, who's really helped them in that position there. And I think Pretorius and Mawani have been a little bit out of sorts today. They're not quite connecting. They haven't got that combination going that you would normally see in that defence end.
A little bit of a worry for Jamaica with Shamira Sterling down.
Let's hope it's just a knock on the knee, and that should be right to get back out there. No.
She's already undone the shoelaces on that right trainer.
Okay, maybe it's just a tweak of her ankle. Sometimes they do hurt a lot, and they're usually okay.
She uses so much of her body there as well, and just a little twist.
Yeah, look, I think she'll be okay. I'm not a medical doctor, of course, but just seeing the amount of ankle injuries you do get on the netball court, it'll be painful, and of course it's only the last 2 minutes of the game, so coming off is the right course of action.
Yeah, good to see her back up on her feet, albeit gingerly.
Obstruction, wing defence.
We'll ask Dorette Badenhurst about that afterwards.
And Katie Antiani will be out there straight away, impacting as she does with the Melbourne Vixen. She often comes on as an impact player, so she's quite used to that role.
Contact, goal defence.
So it might just be that South Africa, because they've got their timing right, because they've been out on that court, might draw us a little bit closer, but surely too much now for Jamaica. 6 goals the difference, under 2 minutes left. Jamaica with a quick land too, and the transition that they've shown throughout, particularly a couple of quarters.
Whilst that change happened, they took the opportunity to put Shimona Nelson out on court.
And Nelson with that strapping around her right knee.
and that will be her first test for Jamaica. So congratulations to Shimona Nelson.
It was hoped that Shimona Nelson would have gone to the World Cup. She was a late withdrawal for Jamaica at that Netball World Cup. Real quality player. And there's the difference as well. Perhaps sometimes South Africa talk about whether they've got the strength and depth through their squad. It's improved, but Jamaica able to bring someone the quality of Shimona Nelson on.
Yeah, they certainly have brought players out today really intelligently from Connie Francis, using their capabilities across the court. And it's great to see Jamaica putting their hand up, really owning their position in world netball.
Contact, goal attack.
Connie Francis saying she wanted to bring the likes of Nelson through. She's got some other young players that we'll see across this tournament as well as she builds her 12.
Another trademark, beautiful split from Botgita, pops the ball in.
Well, closer than they would have wanted at the end for Jamaica, but too much already in the tank for them. Another turnover. That'll suck a bit of the life out, but there's a positive move again from Pretorius. Need to see more of her as we head throughout this tournament. It is just one game down with the other teams still to play. This is not South Africa's tournament done by any means. We can still see them in the finals next Sunday. Jamaica come again. Real strength from them. Hanging one up in the area. All the range that they've got in there. But this time wrestled away by the South African defenders. Jamaica then with the win 59-54 for their new coach, Connie Francis. This is their first test since the Netball World Cup. A World Cup where they finished outside of those medals, surprisingly. But this new Jamaica, the vintage for 2020, have got something a little extra to add to that flair. They've got discipline, and they've seen this one out, Lisa.
Yeah, look, a sensational performance from Jamaica, and probably a little bit disappointing from South Africa, particularly that third quarter. I think they just let it get out of their hands, made too many errors, and we just didn't see the normal turnovers that we do from that great South African defence line. And I think that's obviously the work that Doreen is going to be doing in the next couple of days.
Many changes for both in that final quarter. The score, though, staying the same. The lead held by Jamaica from start to finish. 59-54. They have the first win of the Nations Cup. Well, Jamaica then, it's the second coming for Connie Francis. She's been with this side before. She's gone away and got experience, Lisa Alexander. And she's shown that with this team too. We knew they had the whole kit. They had the parts there. They just needed to be brought together.
Yeah, and I'm really thrilled for Connie too, because it's not easy, the coaching business, and to come back to do this position, in particularly in a difficult political situation in Jamaican netball. So she's kept that concentration of the players on each other and focused on representing Jamaica. Connie has represented Jamaica herself in the past, and I think she's really engendered that spirit within the team. You can see it out there. Janelle Fowler leading the team beautifully. Those other players like Beckford and Williams really adding to that. And, you know, it's thrilling to see them out there.
All right, so many stood up for Jamaica, but who's got the player of the match, Gail?
Thanks very much, Caroline. Nicole Dixon, you are our player of the match. After a very turbulent 2019, how did it feel to be back out there, back playing and back winning?
Well, it's always a pleasure representing my country. I put myself and my country first, and it's a great feeling knowing that we're coming from the World Championship. It wasn't a great finish for us, but you know, we went back home because that is the past, and we fixed what was to be fixed, and we're back out here playing.
How different did it feel playing out there than when you were in Liverpool, you know, less than a year ago?
Well, every time I am on court, I try my best to execute well. And I mean, back in Liverpool, it was just unfortunate. Every team has their ups and downs. And I mean, that was one of our downs. And we just have to work on it going forward.
And tell us about the job that Connie Francis has done. It's obviously her second time in charge. She came in October, but you look such a different team out there. You look like you had structure. You were very patient. What difference has she made to you?
I mean, Connie Francis is just one of the best, you know. And I mean, she works hard and she believes in us and she helps us to believe in ourselves. And I mean, whatever she sets for the target and whatever goal she has set for us and we have set for ourselves, she's expecting us to go out there and execute, and that's what we did.
So what now? Great platform, isn't it? You must believe you can go out there and beat anyone.
Yes, I mean, we have our downs, and as I said, and it's going to be a challenge in a few other games, but we're up and ready for the challenge.
Well, many congratulations. Well played today. We look forward to seeing you over the next week or so. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Durets, after the start you made, it was always going to be tough, wasn't it? What did you put that down to?
Yeah, I think just trust. Well done to Jamaica. They're an excellent team, but yeah, a very slow start for us. Actually, only getting in the game the last quarter. So yeah, it's all about trust, and they need to believe in themselves and go on court and play good netball. And that's very important that they start believing in themselves that they're good enough.
It's very early days, isn't it, in your new journey as coach? So, what's the biggest learning you take from today's game?
Yeah, I think we're still struggling on that in that attacking circle, combinations, and sometimes the one will work, the others won't. But I think we need to settle in our combinations. I think the Rumai Dreyer coming in his head did really well, and it's a little bit more speed. And even Lefebvre coming in on a goal attack gave us a little bit more speed that we needed. But yeah, Jamaica just great to the heights on both sides. It was really difficult to turn balls, but yeah, maybe we'll see them in the final.
It's a quick turnaround, isn't it? But when you go back into training camp tomorrow, what's at the top of that list? Because you talk about trust, but that only comes from what you implement in training, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very important that on court they also need to know when to work with speed and when to use a double movement. And I just think that Jamaica beat us on speed, and we should have just have a little bit of change in our speed and change of direction. But yeah, that's the things that we will work on, that we have different options and not only one specific option.
Thanks very much for your time. Best of luck on Wednesday. We look forward to seeing you again. Connie, come and join me. We joked yesterday you should never go back, didn't we? Well, we were wrong. How much did you enjoy that as a first hit out?
I enjoyed very much because the girls have been working really hard. It's a short time to prepare them. It was 3 months preparation, so there was a lot for them to learn. I thought that we let ourselves down at points in the game, but nevertheless we were able to pull through.
You looked an entirely different outfit in every area of that game today compared to what Jamaica did at Liverpool. What was the one thing that impressed you the most?
It's about resilience and purpose and fixing it, because I thought that in Liverpool we could have played much better. The girls realized it and they said that it have to be a better show, and I love the way that they are blending with the youngster. The youngster doesn't look like they're young at all. They look like they belong here for a long time.
Nicole Dixon was our player of the match, but who else stood out for you? Who has a gold star next to their name as you go into the next matches on Wednesday?
I think our wing defense, Shady and Emmons, I thought that she was very good. It was important for us to take out the South African wing attack because she has been too much into the attack. She is a thorn in the side at times. So it was about her getting the ball under a lot of pressure. I thought that our girls stood to the task and were able to capitalize and hence lead.
Very well played today. We look forward to watching you again on Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sound the warning to the rest of the world. Connie Francis says the youngsters are looking to be here for the long time. South Africa 54, Jamaica 59 in the first game here at the Nations Cup. England against New Zealand. That has a little bit of everything on it. Much changed England side. New coach, of course, in Jess Thurby. They've been watching on as Jamaica came away with that first win up against a New Zealand side. Just the world champions with a dame in charge. That's next up here in Nottingham. Don't go anywhere.
GD must have a good dog. You're too kind. Oh, it's gone straight through. Hard luck.
The first match of the Nations Cup has finished here in Nottingham. I'm here with Tamsin and Amma. Jamaica victorious over South Africa, 59-54. Tamsin, your assessment of their game?
Pretty comfortable in the end for Jamaica. I know South Africa clawed it back in that last quarter, but damage was done in the third. And honestly, South Africa never really seemed in it. Jamaica's defence solid. They were composed. They were structured. They understood what they were doing, regardless of what combination came onto court. A really solid performance from them.
A dramatic exit from Shamira Sterling at the end with a bit of an injury. We're hoping she's okay for that next game, which is in Birmingham on Wednesday. The player of the match, Nicole Dixon, what did you see from her?
Yeah, she was all over the place, and she was a general in the middle. She has flair, but she also knows how to control the game and pace it for Jamaica, resetting, going again. She knows what she comes through for interceptions at key times, and I think she just is really good with her positioning, and her placement into the circle is on point.
Yeah, you know what? It's the transition from Jamaica as well. I think they struggled from the centre pass, but actually from the turnover, which they got so much of because of Sterling, they were able to bring that ball through so quickly, and Nicole Dixon is key for that. She is rapid through the court. She's only little, but what that allows her to do defensively is get around the body quite cleanly. So we saw her partner with Hemmings in the first half. Yep. Hemmings is kind of new. She was fairly physical. She was learning that international game, but she was a pain, and she got a lot of ball, allowed Dixon to go around. Jodie Ann Ward gave her more structure, which meant that Dixon came out with more ball, but the speed that Jamaica brought the ball through the court caused so many problems for Mawene and Pretorius, which you don't usually see.
Connie Francis, I mean, she was full of praise as well for Hemmings. And Connie Francis, what a job she has done since the World Cup in July, where we saw Jamaica. They weren't themselves, were they? But she's brought the team together, and they're full of structure right now. So, first game, victory to Jamaica. Our next game on Sky Sports is England Roses taking on New Zealand. And Gail Davis has just had a chance to catch up with the head coach, Jess Thirlby. Let's hear from Jess right now.
Well, Jess, first of all, what are the emotions like? Home soil, packed arena, huge expectations around this Red Roses team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge privilege to play in front of a sellout crowd. I think it's a fantastic way to wrap up our first kind of international window together as a team. The girls can't wait, I can't wait, and I'm a real sucker for the national anthem, so I'll be singing loud and proud.
Lisa Alexander predicted there might be tears. Will there be?
Tears? No, I'll hold it together. We've got a job to do, and I've got work to be done, so no, it'll be a lovely moment, but yeah, we'll just use it to really build momentum going into the match.
And tell us about your starting seven and why you picked them.
Yeah, I mean, our starting seven, it's been really tough. You know, everyone speaks about the players that aren't here, but I've actually got quite a few options available to me. So the girls have really been pushing themselves. We've got Stacey in the back to kind of still give us that strength in that position. But Kate Shimon's been in great form, in particular this week, and has backed that up session on session. So we're going to give her a run out and see how she fronts up at the start of the game. Laura Malcolm's working really well in that wing defence position, as I know people like. And then we've got Jade, Nat, Kadeen and Elle, which has given us some stability just to front the game. But I expect impact off the bench.
Go well, enjoy. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks.
Really exciting, England Roses up against the current world champions New Zealand at the build-up to that 4:45 Sky Sports Arena and Mix. Just time to get yourselves a cup of tea, have a little bit of a rest before you join us again in half an hour. Tamsin, this is a really exciting game. Jess's first game as head coach on home soil.
Yeah, of course, and what an opportunity for her. Look, there will be pressure because you are in front of a home crowd. However, she's got to enjoy it. She's got to expose some players, and England have just got to go out and show what they can do following on from World Cup.
Okay, they beat us in the World Cup. Can we beat them today? We'll see you in 30 minutes' time. Goodbye.